All right, Richard, welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Goodfellas, where we talk about the top 30 wide receivers for Week 8. But before we get started, let's just review how we did on Week 7.
Of our top 30 receivers, 2 did not play. Michael Thomas, who we had at number 11, and Jamison Crowder, who we had at 27. And then we had Odell Beckham at 14, and he got hurt. So we're going to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt on those 3. Of our remaining 27 players, we hit on 16 of them. 16 were in the top 30. Again, considering all of the variables here, a pretty decent week for receivers.
Well, let's get started for the top 30 wide receivers for Week 8. The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
And number 1, Davante Adams, home against Minnesota. Great receiver, great quarterback. Number 2, Tyreek Hill, home against the Jets. Lately Patrick Mahomes hasn't had to pass for that many yards. They've been relying more on the run. I smell some big plays from Tyreek Hill, especially against the Jets. And number 3, Tyler Lockett, home against San Francisco. What a week for Tyler Lockett. People were asking us last week, hey, is this guy a top 10 receiver?
Tyler Lockett is the real deal. He's got 15 receptions for 200 yards and 3 TDs last week. So I think you should leave him in the top 10 for the rest of the year.
I think so too. And at number 4, guess who? DK Metcalf, home against San Francisco.
What a clunker of a game he had. 1 reception for 17 yards.
Yeah, but he had 1 touchdown called back. More often than not, he's going to have big weeks, which is what you want for a receiver. Number 5, Stefon Diggs, home against New England. Things are slowing down for Josh Allen. This is a good matchup, and I think Diggs is, he's going to come out of it. And number 6, Calvin Ridley at Carolina. We said it, Matt Ryan leads the league in passing yards. Atlanta likes to pass, and Calvin Ridley can score touchdowns as well. Hopefully, he'll get some of those this week. And number 7, Julio Jones at Carolina. Julio Jones could easily be the number 1. At number 8, A.J. Brown at Cincinnati. So we're putting A.J. Brown in our top 10. My knock on Tannehill was always like, he doesn't pass for much. They're just going to rely on the run. Tannehill's been passing more than we thought. And he throws a lot of touchdowns. And number 9, Keenan Allen at Denver. Same thing here, right? Justin Herbert having a good season. Keenan Allen is his guy, and we were worried last week. Is Keenan Allen 100% healthy? He looked good, so we're going to put him in our top 10. Rounding out the top 10, DJ Moore home against Atlanta. DJ Moore blew up this week. And number 11, Kenny Golladay, home against the Colts. Tough matchup. We know the Colts have a good defense. But Kenny Golladay is a stud. And number 12, Adam Thielen at Green Bay. Kirk Cousins is going to have to pass a lot to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. You know what? This could definitely be a shootout.
This week's shootout.
And we like Adam Thielen at number 12. Robby Anderson, home against Atlanta. We think this one's going to be a shootout as well. Atlanta and Carolina.
This week's shootout.
You have 4 great receivers, right? You have Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Robby Anderson, and DJ Moore. There could be fireworks in this game. And number 14, Michael Thomas at Chicago. Got our fingers crossed that he's actually going to play this week. At 15, Mike Evans at the New York Giants. Writing up my list, I have Mike Evans a few slots lower. We had Chris Godwin here, but Chris Godwin's not going to play. He had finger surgery. So Mike Evans will have more targets this week. And number 16, Allen Robinson, home against New Orleans. We expect Allen Robinson to play. There was that issue on Monday night with a possible concussion. Hopefully that's not what it was. And number 17, Tyler Boyd, home against Tennessee. Joe Burrow has looked great, and I still think Tyler Boyd is their guy. T. Higgins has looked good too, but I still rank Tyler Boyd higher, so I have him at 17. And number 18, Justin Jefferson at Green Bay. Justin Jefferson's explosive, and like I said, Kirk Cousins is going to have to pass a lot to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. And number 19, Travis Fulgham, home against the Cowboys. Good matchup. Again, Wentz, not the best passer. And at 20, T. Higgins, home against Tennessee. We talked about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow slinging it. So we have Boyd and Higgins in our top 20. Ryan, can they both be in the top 20? Does this make sense?
Well, Joe Burrow is third in the NFL with 2,023 passing yards, and both Boyd and Higgins are playmakers. So, yeah, we think they're both top 20 receivers.
At number 21, Robert Woods at Miami. Robert Woods had a not so good week against Chicago. At number 22, Diontae Johnson at Baltimore. Tough matchup. Diontae looks like Pittsburgh's playmaker. It looks like their number one guy. I think the pecking order right now is Diontae Johnson 1, Juju Smith-Schuster 2, and I think Chase Claypool's going to be lost in the shuffle. So at number 23, Marquise Brown, home against Pittsburgh. Tough defensive matchup, but Marquise Brown is Lamar Jackson's favorite target other than, Andrews, the tight end. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have to pass to keep up with Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. So he might have a good fantasy game, and I think Marquise Brown is also going to benefit from that. At number 24, we have Cooper Kupp at Miami. I think this one, there could be a few touchdowns for both sides in this one. So we're putting 2 Rams receivers in our top 30. At number 25, DeVante Parker, who'll be home against the Rams. So Dolphin receiver. And I think with Tua, DeVante Parker can have a monster game. At number 26, Jamison Crowder at Kansas City. He missed last week. We hope he's back this week. Obviously, they're going to have to pass a lot to keep up with Mahomes and Kansas City. So Crowder could put in a sneaky good game. At number 27, we have Amari Cooper, who will be at Philadelphia. But, yeah, that offense hasn't looked great. But Amari Cooper, I guess he's their best receiver. 28, Henry Ruggs at Cleveland, playing a defense that you can pass against. And I'm putting Henry Ruggs in our top 30 because he's an explosive player, and I think he's going to get a long touchdown this week. At number 29, Jarvis Landry, who will be home against Las Vegas. Jarvis Landry could be the Browns' number one receiver right now that Odell Beckham's been hurt. So we're going to put him in our top 30. And number 30, Scotty Miller, who is at the New York Giants. Good matchup, and we saw what Scotty Miller did this week. He had 9 targets, he made 6 receptions, caught a touchdown. He was all over the field. So especially with Chris Godwin not playing, Scotty Miller's going to get his, and we have him in our top 30.
Does Antonio Brown see any action this week?
That's a good question. I don't know, but even if he does play, I'm sure it'll be limited snaps.
Good luck on your fantasy football week. We know it's a wild, wild west out there with receivers, and let's see who goes down this week. But thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 30 wide receivers.
It's my pleasure.